Chapter 8 of Equilibrium, and of the general and particular method of preparation of the furniture of the temple and of the instruments of act before there was equilibrium. Countenance beheld not countenance. 1 So saith the holiest of the books of the ancient Kabbalah. Sifritzania to I. 2. 2:1 Countenance here spoken of is the macrocosm. The other the microcosm. 3 As said above, the object of any magic ceremony is to unite the macrocosm and the microcosm. It is as in optics, the angles of incidence and reflection are equal. You must get your macrocosm and microcosm exactly balanced, vertically and horizontally, or the images will not coincide. This equilibrium is affirmed by the magician in arranging the temple. Nothing must be lopsided. If you have anything in the north, you must put something equal and opposite to it in the south. The importance of this is so great, and the truth of it so obvious, that no one with the most mediocre capacity for magic can tolerate any unbalanced object for a moment. His instinct instinctively revolts. 4 For this reason, the weapons, altar, circle, and magus are all carefully proportioned one with another. It will not do to have a cup like a thimble and a wand like a weaver's beam. 1 Again, the arrangement of the weapons on the altar must be such that they look balanced. Nor should the magician have any unbalanced ornament. If he have the wand in his right hand, let him have the ring too on his left, or let him take the ankh, or the bell, or the cup. And however little he move to the right, let him balance it by an equivalent movement to the left, or if forwards, backwards, and let him correct each idea by implying the contradictory contained therein. If he invoke severity, let him recount that severity is the instrument of mercy. 3 If stability, let him show the basis of that stability is constant change, just as the stability of a molecule is secured by the momentum of the swift atoms contained in it. 4 In this way let every idea go forth, as a triangle on the base of two opposites, making an apex transcending their contradiction in a higher harmony. It is not safe to use any thought in magic, unless that thought has been thus equilibrated and destroyed. Thus again with the instruments themselves, the wand must be ready to change into a serpent, the pentacle into the whirling spastic or disk of Jove, as if to fulfill the functions of the sword. The cross is both the death of the Savior 5 and the phallic symbol of resurrection. Will itself must be ready to culminate in the surrender of the will. 6 The aspiration arrow that is shot against the holy dove must transmute itself into the wondering virgin that receives in her womb the quickening of the same Spirit of God. Any idea that is thus in itself positive and negative, active and passive, male and female, is fit to exist above the abyss. Any idea not so equilibrated is below the abyss, contains in itself an unmitigated duality or falsehood, and is to that extent aliphatic one and dangerous. Even an idea like truth is unsafe unless it is realized that all truth is in one sense falsehood. For all truth is relative, and if it be supposed absolute, will mislead. 2 The Book of Lies, falsely so called, Liber 333, is worthy of close and careful study in this respect. The reader should also consult Conc Pax, Introduction and Theantau in the same volume. All this is to be expressed in the words of the ritual itself, and symbolized in every act performed. 2 It is said in the ancient books of magic that everything used by the magician must be virgin. That is, it must never have been used by any other person for any other purpose. The greatest importance was attached by the adepts of old to this, and it made the task of the magician no easy one. He wanted a wand, and in order to cut and trim it he needed a knife. It was not sufficient merely to buy a new knife. He felt that he had to make it himself. In order to make the knife, he would require 100 other things, the acquisition of each of which might require 100 more, and so on. This shows the impossibility of disentangling one's self from one's environment. Even in magic we cannot get on without the help of others. 3 There was, however, a further object in this recommendation. The more trouble and difficulty your weapon costs, the more useful you will find it. If you want a thing well done, do it yourself. It would be quite useless to take this book to a department store, and instruct them to furnish you a temple according to specification. It is really well worth the while of the student who requires a sword to go and dig out iron ore from the earth, to smelt it himself with charcoal that he has himself prepared, to forge the weapon with his own hands, and even to take the trouble of synthesizing the oil of vitriol with which it is engraved. He will have learnt a lot of useful things in his attempt to make a really virgin sword. He will understand how one thing depends upon another. He will begin to appreciate the meaning of the words "the harmony of the universe," so often used so stupidly and superficially by the ordinary apologist for nature, and he will also perceive the true operation of the law of karma. One another notable injunction of the ancient magic was that whatever appertained to the work should be single. The wand was to be cut with a single stroke of the knife. There must be no boggling and hacking at things, no clumsiness and no hesitation. If you strike a blow at all, strike with all your strength. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might! 2 If you are going to take up magic, make no compromises. You cannot make revolutions with rose water, or wrestle in a silk hat. You will find very soon that you must either lose the hat or stop wrestling. Most people do both. They take up the magical path without sufficient reflection, without that determination of adamant which made the author of this book exclaim, as he took the first oath, "Perdurabo, I will endure unto the end!" 3 They start on it at a great pace, and then find that their boots are covered with mud. Instead of persisting, they go back to Piccadilly. Such persons have only themselves to thank if the very street boys mock at them. Another recommendation was this: buy whatever may be necessary without haggling. You must not try to strike a proportion between the values of incommensurable things. For the least of the magical instruments is worth infinitely more than all that you possess, or, if you like, than all that you stupidly suppose yourself to possess. Break this rule, and the usual nemesis of the half-hearted awaits you. Not only do you get inferior instruments, but you lose in some other way what you thought you were so clever to have saved. Remember Ananias! 1 On the other hand, if you purchase without haggling, you will find that along with your purchase the vendor has thrown in the purse of Fortunatus. No matter in what extremity you may seem to be, at the last moment your difficulties will be solved. For there is no power either of the firmament or of the ether, or of the earth or under the earth, on dry land or in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, or any spell and scourge of God which is not obedient to the necessity of the magician. That which he has not, but that which he is, and that which he will be. And neither God, nor man, nor all the malice of Korans, can either check him or cause him to waver for one instant upon the path. This command and promise have been given by all the Magi without exception. And where this command has been obeyed, this promise has been most certainly fulfilled. 3 In all actions the same formula applicable. To invoke a god, that is, to raise yourself to that Godhead, the process is threefold: purification, consecration and initiation. Therefore, every magical weapon, and even the furniture of the temple, must be passed through this threefold regimen. The details only vary on inessential points. For example, to prepare the magician, he purifies himself by maintaining his chastity too and abstaining from any defilement. But to do the same with, let us say, the cup, we assure ourselves that the metal has never been employed for any other purpose. We smelt virgin ore, and we take all possible pains in refining the metal. It must be chemically pure. To sum up this whole matter in a phrase, every article employed is treated as if it were a candidate for initiation. But in those parts of the ritual in which the candidate is blindfolded, we wrap the weapon in a black cloth. 1 The oath which he takes is replaced by a charge in similar terms. The details of the preparation of each weapon should be thought out carefully by the magician. Further, the attitude of the magician to his weapons should be that of the god to suppliant who invokes him. It should be the love of the father for his child, the tenderness and care of the bridegroom for his bride, and that peculiar feeling which the creator of every work of art feels for his masterpiece. Where this is clearly understood, the magician will find no difficulty in observing the proper ritual, not only in the actual ceremonial consecration of each weapon, but in the actual preparation, a process which should adumbrate this ceremony. For example, the magician will cut the wand from the tree, will strip it of leaves and twigs, will remove the bark. He will trim the ends neatly, and smooth down the knots. This is the banishing. He will then rub it with the consecrated oil until it becomes smooth and glistening and golden. He will then wrap it in silk of the appropriate color. This is the consecration. He will then take it, and imagine that it is the hollow tube in which Prometheus brought down fire from heaven, formulating to himself the passing of the holy influence through it. In this and other ways will be performed the initiation, and, this being accomplished, he will repeat the whole process in an elaborate ceremony. To take an entirely different case, that of the circle, the magician will synthesize the vermilion required from mercury and sulfur which he has himself sublimated. This pure vermilion he will himself mix with the consecrated oil, and as he uses this paint he will think intently and with devotion of the symbols which he draws. This circle may then be initiated by a circumambulation, during which the magician invokes the names of God that are on it. Any person without sufficient ingenuity to devise proper methods of preparation for the other articles required is unlikely to make much of a magician, and we shall only waste space if we deal in detail with the preparation of each instrument. There is a definite instruction in Liber Evil Armorum, in the Equinox, Volume I, Number 4, as to the lamp and the 4 elemental weapons. 1.